start them right now.
There we go.
Can everybody see this? You can see the first page, Anne?
Yes.
Okay. Amazing. Okay. Thanks for joining me today. And this is our beautiful Demented Acilius library. Um, and please feel free to put questions in the chat. And I will ask you one of them actually right now, which is a prompt for you to put in the chat. So, what do you personally need at work? If you're thinking about being in your office, at your library, wherever you are, what would you need to relax if you want to take a quick break? You can think of that in terms of like what you would want in the space to relax in, an item, an activity, what would bring you joy and be restorative to you. So I'm just curious. Pop that in the chat. Okay, I like that. We've got quiet space from two people, privacy from two people, better coffee. Yeah, I mean, that's a good one. Yeah. Great. And if you think of anything else, also put that in because I think it's useful for us to kind of see like what do people need, right? Yes, maybe we're not the undergraduate or graduate students we're serving, but we are all people with these same needs, and coffee is always an important one. And yeah, quiet, privacy, all of that. I actually just discovered these great new like little like magnetic fidget ball things that like I just like need them during virtual meetings sometimes to focus me. So I'm like, I'd want some of those cool like fancy expensive fidget balls. That's what I want. Okay, so we're going to talk about creating a lactation room and a wellness room. And is underlined because personally, in my opinion, I think these need to be separate spaces. And this is commonly, I think, a lot of libraries and organizations, they sometimes put the two together. And that's just probably because they don't have enough space. And if they're lucky enough to find one room to turn into something, they usually have to make it a combination. But I really think it's important to have these as two different spaces, and I'll get into why. But whether or not you have a room or want to have a room or rooms plural, and actually, please put in the chat if you have a room already, if you have a wellness or lactation or combo, but just put that in. I would just be interested to know. But of course, it's always important to think about who your stakeholders are and like who your advocates are. Like, so who are you designing it for? And we all sometimes know, but I think it's important to like write it down and like really look at the nitty-gritty granularity of it. So it's not just students, right? It's graduate students? Is it non-traditional? Is it commuter students? Like, is it faculty? Like maybe even writing down like, okay, the adjunct faculty that don't have offices, like just kind of like getting it all out. Whose voice do you already have to kind of say, look, they want this too. Like we're going to advocate together, but then who are the people you need to rally for support? Whether that's in the library or ideally outside of the library, getting other support on campus. For space design, like looking around at what you have, but looking what other people have on campus, like always kind of checking. And I'm sure like your campuses, like things are always evolving. So, 1 month there might not be anything in a certain academic building, and then you come by and suddenly they have a wellness room too. And so looking to see everything with their signage and design, and just because you're always going to be compared against the other amenities on campus. So why not check it out and see other libraries' spaces too? The policies, of course, we're librarians, we love policies. So all of the things, right? Who, what, where, why, when, how it's going to happen, both external policy and maybe an internal one is important. So we'll talk about that. And yeah, marketing, of course, is important because that's one of the things I care about in my library. So why should we even create these spaces and have this discussion? We know that there's, an increased stress load on not just students, all individuals, I think, that come into our building and ourselves. We know there's bigger mental health problem. We know people are just talking about it more and wanting more support. I think in the library, we probably all care about, we want to have people stay as long as possible and have it be comfortable and help them focus. So if we care about their duration of stay, we want to offer them different things so that they can have that experience. I think promoting study breaks is something libraries have been doing for a long time, and that's a healthy thing. So why not have a space for that for someone? And then healthy boundaries. And I have that on here because we didn't have a lactation room for a very long time at our library, and several colleagues in the public services division who were like front lines seeing the patrons, if someone needed a space and we didn't have it, we were having to give our offices, which no one made us do that. We wanted to help somebody, but then it's, you're not able to use your office. Maybe you have like personal files in there and you have like a stranger using your space. So there, a boundary between how much you're going to let the public literally into your personal space here. Evolving needs and expectations. We know that's part of the history of libraries is like we are always looking at how our community is changing, what they need. I think people's expectations of the library have changed. And I think people also are always looking to libraries to see what's next. They know we have books, right? They know we have certain essentials, but then it's kind of pivoting and what else can we offer to support them? And we care about people, right? So we want to show how much we care. So I think it's good to have these spaces for all of these reasons. A few reminders, yeah, campus audit. So popping into other buildings, like I feel like I'm like this little Chihuahua dog. I'm like, look, you're always like looking and like seeing, like opening doors, checking what other people have, taking pictures of the signage. And then a reminder to know, like, collect stories. So get it in writing. So if somebody wants to know why you're doing this or need money, that you have someone's quote, ideally with their name attached. So this is from a faculty member who shared this and said, last week I was in my office when a graduate student came by and asked about the wellness lactation room and that was in their building. So like there was another building on campus. So a student came by, the room was locked. She told me it was locked or occupied with studying, sleeping students every time she attempted to use it. I was able to open the room for her, and she was so relieved she had a clean space, and otherwise was planning to use her car. So this is like a common thing we were hearing about. There were two other wellness rooms on our campus, but they were wellness slash lactation. They were for both. So when someone actually needed it, because this was their like one, free time of the day to pump the milk, like someone's sleeping or someone else is using it. And so it's not really able to serve all populations if someone can't use the room at the time that they need it. And just kind of like backtrack, like, so wellness at our library and wellness at Fairfield, and you all probably have some similar things here too. For decades, because I don't know the exact year it started, for decades, I think we've had pet therapy. So the library's always cared about that. And finals de-stress before any other spots on campus did these things, we were doing it. Since I started at Fairfield in 2016, we've increased wellness programming. We've also expanded our Library of Things collection to kind of have wellness items. We don't maybe market them so much as wellness items, but they are, right? Like board games, lawn chairs, musical instruments, like the ukulele you see with the three girls at the top of the screen. We have a permanent de-stress table that we added before we had a room, and that was students saying they wanted a table to color at. I'm sure you guys might have something like that too, or a puzzle table. And then the rooms come into play that we'll talk about. And then the university as a whole, I would encourage you guys to think about, does your university already have a wellness committee? It's sometimes really hard to figure out all the committees on campus. Like, I don't know about you, there's not always a master list. So just, chatting with the counseling office, talking to other people and saying, is there a committee? Can the library have representation on it? Our pet therapy program expanded campus wide. So making sure that the library was still attached to that is very important because it was just the library doing it for decades. And then now it's gotten bigger, but I want to make sure like we're a leading voice on that. So the library is seen as a leader in offering wellness. Another department does wellness Wednesdays and mindfulness Mondays are by athletics, but like you try to get in and like be part of at least one a semester of those. And then there's something called Fresh Check Day, which I should have the little registered, I think, or trademark symbol there, but that's something a lot of universities host. And of course, wellness fairs. So making sure the library has a table. Those are not run by the library, but we just are partners in this. And for Fairfield, we're a Jesuit school. I think a lot of schools also kind of lean into the whole person language. So thinking about mind, spirit, and body and care for the whole person. So libraries, I think, are more and more caring for the whole person through all these things, collections, spaces, services, and so on, programming. Okay, so your collaborators. I think if you're thinking about who your people would be, maybe some of them would be the same here. So for definitely a lactation room, you're going to need HR. You need to be buddies with them. And they're going to be the ones that would be helping with policy, even looking at the law, right? That's really important of like what legally should be provided to employees and to students for accommodation for lactation rooms. Counseling, of course, for their expertise in what should go into a wellness room. Facilities, we know they're the ones that like make all the things happen, and sometimes you like have to put in work orders and go through that. So you need them on board. Of course, your head of the library and your colleagues as well. any kind of wellness committee on the campus, even if they're not going to be making decisions for your wellness or lactation rooms, keeping them updated so like they don't feel like they weren't included in the conversation. We know access services staff are so important if they're the ones getting the questions or mediating access to a space. So, like getting feedback and draft kind of stages, not just after the rooms are done, like having them be part of the process of planning. If you have a student board or faculty board, the nursing school, if you have a nursing or health program, you might have a faculty member who is doing like maternal health care research or some, or maybe you have a midwifery program. Maybe you have something where naturally certain individuals' expertise really just jives with having these spaces. And then we can't forget about alumni, right? They visit our building and just the general public can come and like, that these can be, should they be spaces for them, right? Like we do let our lactation room be a space for visitors. They just have a different way that they would go about securing it. The wellness room, we're not mediating like who's using it, but the sign is clear that it's like it's for Fairfield students, but we're not going to be kicking someone out if they needed that space. So, but you could think about who's encouraged, who's it marketed to, who's included when you're designing and advocating. Okay, so specifically the lactation room, we'll talk about that. So it took several months. I want to say it was like August of 2021 until I think we kind of like announced it in January 2022. And for years, very lucky, our head of the library was like asking for it, asking for it. And then so was I, because I had I had my daughter and like I was really seeing firsthand how hard this was, that I had to schedule out like 3 times a day, every day, for months when my breaks would be to, have my pump hooked up to the outlet and like shut the shades and like not have meetings. And that was really hard, but I was lucky I had my own office. And I had friends who didn't, and they were in the car pumping at work on campus. They were the bathroom, right? That's actually technically illegal. You don't want to be encouraging employees to use a restroom for that. But people were struggling. I was lucky. I had my office, but it was like, I joined the library dean and kind of advocating. And luckily, someone in HR who really had like an understanding of the law and she was also a mom, but she was a big advocate. And so this is, became our little trio. And then we started working with facilities. So I put campus moms here because if you know any others that are kind of having a hard time finding a spot, like get their quote even anonymously or have them send an email. Have people keep asking HR, and then you tell HR we're the space that we would like to host this here. So funding, HR of course kicked in for the carpeting of the room, the lighting, like having an electrician come costs money on campus, signage. The library kicked in some money as well for our lactation room. We had to search every nook and cranny and closet because guess what, guys? Our room was actually in a closet. It was a janitorial closet, a custodial closet. And it was not maybe in an ideal space. Like it wouldn't be a room we would turn into a study room because it was off the beaten path, like down a hallway that no one ever goes. But it was perfect for this because we didn't really want the room to be super visible where undergraduates would be like, ooh, here's a room that locks with no windows where like they could get up to whatever they're going to get up to. So it was better that it was a little tucked away. And it was just like perfection that this closet happened to have a bathroom attached to it, which meant we had a sink for someone to wash the parts that they need. Yeah, I see you nodding. Yeah, it's like really, that was like amazing. But yeah, we had to fix it up. And so the room still like maybe has little nods to that it was a closet, but it's something. There's no window, unfortunately. You take what you can get. But we were happy we had something with a door and all of that, the privacy that one would need. I had a blast going to Home Goods and spending money that wasn't my own. Walmart was helpful for some of the things. And then I put thrift as well, right? Always find some like cheaper things out there. For the policy, looked at other libraries that have the public policy out there, right? We're all very good at the Google searching for that kind of thing, but also sharing the policy that we create with access services and HR, because HR did, I think, suggest some language tweaks to be, they got to be careful with and inclusive as well with the language. We purposely decided not to put the room. We have a room reservation link actually for our room and decided not to put it publicly on our room reservation page because we didn't want students desperate for a study room to start booking it to study in. Like I mentioned, like we were nervous about that. So employees who are going on maternity leave, HR contacts them and is like, here's, when you come back, all of the benefits you have. They show them a map with other rooms on campus. But we were the first one that was an actual lactation only, not a combination room. And so they have a reservation link, and I'll show you more about that. But there's even every single orientation that we do for faculty and staff or graduate students, we're talking about the room. It's kind of everywhere. Okay, so here's crazy bullet points, a lot of text. Shopping spree. So I think if you're going to do a room, obviously you need a desk or table, but don't just get a little one. You need someone to have all of their, equipment. So something that's a decent size. A comfortable chair, but easy to clean was important because spills can happen. So like we wanted something we could like wipe down and like it would be hygienic and wasn't like fabric. More than one electrical outlet, right? You all know sometimes we have to remind people how important outlets are in a library. So make sure you don't forget to say you need those. Luckily, the room had heating and cooling, but if you have a space that doesn't, making sure maybe you have a way to get that in there. Door with a lock. It's like an older door, so it's an actual key. Ideally, if you could do swipe access, and then you could even set up certain individuals with access to the room, that would be the most perfect situation, but that's an additional cost that we just couldn't do. But if you have the budget, that would be good. Spray and wipes, like antibacterial, just to, like so someone could clean down the space if they need to, and of course trash can. Extras that you don't have to have like legally, but it's nice is a mini fridge. We were Facilities reached out to Residence Life because they sometimes have extra supplies, so no one had to pay for the mini fridge. So that was great. If you're doing the fridge, like having a sign about how long milk could be stored there. And like because janitorial staff, you get them on a schedule where maybe they are having to clean it out. Is it every day, every few days? But we wouldn't want someone to like leave it for days and think it would still be there if that was the cleaning schedule for the fridge. So expectations for that and a Sharpie so they can label materials. Of course, sink is great with the soap. A mirror we thought would be nice so someone could like compose themselves after and like get ready. Coat hook, adjustable lighting, artwork, especially if you're a windowless space. Some fake or real greenery, a bulletin board, because there's someone sitting there for like, 15 to 20 minutes. You have them captive. You could put some advertising up there. Why not? And then like a changing table. I wish we had this, but our room was not designed to be a space where like kids were being brought into, but there could be a parent who does have to bring their kid to the library and express milk while they're with their other child. So I think that would be nice if you had space to add a changing table. So this is a photo of the room. So you could even see the tiles on the wall. Like that's still like, right? Like that's the janitorial closet, guys. But this is a big closet. So it's like pretty decent with what we were able to do. The picture on the wall is something I actually rescued that from the trash. Someone was throwing that out. And so this is what I mean by being creative and thrifty. That was free. We're not going to read this, but this is just some text from a newsletter for the library. On the right-hand side is a little tinier description because there's a wellness kind of contemplative spaces map that apparently is forthcoming for the university. So just like when you hear of these things like, oh, there's a new map, there's a new kind of app for the campus to direct people, like getting what you need on there and a description. So even here it says faculty, staff, students can reserve the room. So this is what makes it unique on campus too. There's no other reservable spaces for someone to know they have a space they can rely on. So the fact that you could do it multiple times a day and up to 2 months in advance, like you don't have to stress now about where am I going to go? Where will someone be sleeping in that study room when I need it and I have to kick them out? Like you don't have to worry. And then they are given the link by HR, but we also at the front desk have it to like set someone up if they didn't get it, or if a visitor comes to the building, we will book it for them if they don't have the credentials to get into our system. We're not going to read all of this. You guys could have the slides later if you want them, but that's just like the policy that's on the special like room reservation link that people are given. It talks about even the storage of milk in the refrigerator. It even mentioned something about cleaning the space. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that I want to point out here. And then it even says this room is not intended to be a study room or to take personal calls or meetings. Like we have to keep telling people, right? Intention of space and who it's for. Internal logistics too is that the staff at the front desk have to like give this giant key that's like attached to a big piece of wood so no one takes it or loses it. They need to check it out to a user's account or patron. Patron's probably a nicer word to use. And they keep their person's card, like their identification university card at the desk during use. So that if someone else came in to use the room, we would both know, okay, the key's gone, but also this person's in there. We would know. And then that person at the front desk is supposed to walk them down and open the door for them because it's kind of also making sure, well, what if someone else was in there for some reason? We're just kind of making sure it's ready for them and safe and clean, like popping in, make sure it's fine. And then when the person returns the key to the desk on their own, that's when they get their card. And then the staff at the front desk also are supposed to kind of just keep a note of like the usage because the booking in the system could be different than the usage, right? Someone might make reservations and not come. But if we have a record of like, okay, this week it was used 0 times or 5 times, then the supervisor can alert facilities about like maybe more cleaning of the room is needed or no cleaning of the room is needed because no one's used it, that kind of thing. We're not reading all this text either, but keep this in mind that there's the Connecticut Breastfeeding Coalition that recognizes colleges and universities that are having spaces like this and supporting moms. So this is something I wouldn't do this without talking to like HR or another group on campus, but there is a process to kind of be recognized. And it's pretty simple, like, but you do need to have they call them breastfeeding champions. So other people that are supporting these spaces and on campus. You need to have anywhere on campus like a 5-minute walk from whatever building someone can be working in. Like there needs to be a space that they could use. So there's others on Fairfield, but we're the one that's bookable, and I'm proud of that. But keep in mind that you don't have to have a room exactly like ours. You just need a space where someone could use it as a lactation room. So keep that in mind if you want to do that process. You get a little certificate, and that's me and a professor from the nursing school who's like very passionate about this. She was the one who led this initiative. And it was really, and we have it hung up in the room too. Okay, switching over to wellness rooms. We're out of lactation rooms, which are super important, separate wellness room. If you're going to do it, guys, and you find a space, why not put up a coming soon sign, right? Like get people excited about it and get their input so that, because sometimes you get great ideas that you wouldn't have thought of course. So for advocacy, as usual, the head of your library has to be on board if you're going to do this. And counseling any wellness people on campus, it wouldn't be right, I think, to kind of do this without them. Like, right, they're experts in their area, like make them feel included, do it in collaboration. Collaboration means money too, right? They often will chip in. If you have a student board, great. But then there's other student clubs that might want to get involved. I put here Muslim Student Association and campus ministry because there were some students that worked in the building for long periods of time and they needed access to a prayer space, and they weren't not it was just more disruptive to walk to campus ministry to the Muslim prayer space. They wanted in our building as well. So it was kind of like a perfect time that we could think about a room we were designing could have a space for students to engage in prayer. So like you might want to do that as well if you're planning a wellness room and talking to those clubs, like seeing, well, what do you exactly need to have a prayer space that works for you? And then after we talked to the Muslim Student Association, we even talked to we invited the campus rabbi to come in and then, one of the Jesuit priests just to make it inclusive. For funding, we were lucky. We got some money from counseling, but that also meant like it was me and a counselor and we were shopping together. We were making every decision together, which is fun, but sometimes you have different opinions on like what is ideal for a space, but it was a good time. And you'll see a picture of her later. She was wonderful. So the money went towards furniture removal. There was a room we identified that had office furniture. And we actually had to pay facilities to remove the furniture. I don't know if that happens in your library. And we had to pay, campus facilities to paint and an electrician to fix lighting. And then of course there's the shopping for the stuff, which you'll see my shopping list and supplies. And if you're going to do this, I'd also recommend seeing if you could get a commitment for money that you could get annually to replenish the supplies. So even if that's like $200 a year from a campus wellness committee or HR, where then you could like buy more colored pencils or like whatever it is that you're going to put in your space, you're going to need to replace it because things disappear sometimes. For the space, once again, search every nook and cranny. And I before it was closet, now it's former office. So things are always evolving in our library. There's other departments that have had offices in our library because we're an academic commons model. And one of them was actually had moved out to another building on campus. There was actually an empty space on our lower level. And it's one of those things where you got to quickly fill up that space, right? Before someone else from some other department sees an empty spot and puts someone there. And they make it an office for some other random department or try to make a decision for the library, right? So we needed to like quickly use that space. And this was like perfect because we'd been wanting to do a wellness room. And so we kind of had a race to like use it. So I'm sure you, and then playing up your limitations, I put here for space design because it looked this, you'll see the pictures, but this office was a strange office where it was actually like a subdivided office where there was these like weird wall partitions that were built in with an extra weird sliding door. And at first we're like, oh my gosh, like this doesn't look relaxing. How are we, it would cost too much money to take the walls down. So then we just decided to lean into it and like play into it. So you'll see how that thing that was like seemed like an awful aesthetic design was I think kind of enhances the space. Home goods, of course, right? IKEA and Amazon were our friends for purchasing. Policy I put, is loose. Like there's not a intense policy like the lactation room, but it could even just be like knowing the who, what, where, why, when, kind of like who's the room for, and actually like putting that in writing. And how are they supposed to use it? Is it a room that's for one person at a time? Is it a room that everyone can use? Is it drop-in? Is it not a drop-in space? So looking at other signage on around campus and other libraries to see how they just present on a wall sign what this room is, what it's intended for. And of course, sharing it with HR and your library kind of access services team for their input before you print the sign or order it. For marketing, I mean, this is the thing that gets students excited. I don't know about you guys, but right, if you give tours and go into orientations, like what gets people excited? It's like things like this. And it's the therapy dogs, right? They know we have books, they know we have databases, but like this, people are so pumped when they know we have this space. And yeah, so there's lots of different marketing techniques that we use. For our shopping spree, we wanted a couch that was once again easy to wipe down. Pillows that had removable cases was important. We wanted a basket chair. That's a student worker who's assembling the basket chair on the ground there because that felt cozy. The counselor was like, "Oh, we want something that feels like a hug, like it feels calming in it." Massage chair. Highly recommend the massage chair. This is what's going to make people so excited when they hear about this space. So splurge for the massage chair, a quality one, of course, so that it actually can withstand a lot of usage, maybe get a warranty if they offer one. Different kinds of adjustable lighting. Coat rack is nice to have. A bookshelf that has different sensory materials, coloring materials, fidgets, essential oil rollers, tissues, hand sanitizer, white noise machine, a mirror. Okay, you do not need a mini steel drum. We just thought it was really cool. It's like a therapy drum. I've discovered it from counseling, so that was cool. Beanbag chairs, not the ones that are fuzzy, like the ones you can wipe down because these kids are gonna spill, their coffee all over it. And I know Matt, coffee was important to you for a wellness space, so like coffee spill proof things as much as you can. Art, we actually have rotating sand art too. It's like this really cool piece. If you look it up on Amazon, it's just you can turn it and you watch the sand fall and it's like so calming. So it's both art and it's interactive and it's really cool. Yoga mats, like a yoga moves poster, exercise ball, exercise bands. We have a shoe mat. The shoe mat was important. This was a Muslim Student Association who said they needed it for the prayer area of the room. They needed a space where people would take their shoes off and a sign that says to do that. And then for free, those really nice students gave us a bunch of prayer mats and books. Campus ministry gave us, some extra books as well that were spirituality based. My boss gave, he was getting rid of stuff from his house. So he gave some folding privacy screens, which like those can move around. You guys all mentioned privacy before as being important. So when you're in a shared space, can you create little pockets of perceived privacy. The table was free because it was rescued from some storage area on campus. And then, trash cans, right? Just grab one. So that was free stuff. And now I want to show you some pictures if it will let me. Okay. So we know, so we're trying to provide a calm, reliable, flexible space where things can move around a bit. Sensory materials, all sorts of different senses, spiritual friction and stretch. Here's what we do not provide. It's important to have a firm list of what you're not going to offer. We're not offering a locking door because we don't want students to be able to take it over. This is a shared space for multiple students at a time. We decided we didn't want to have a TV. At one point we were, but we really lean into like a tech-free space. Blankets is one of the most common requests, including counseling really wanted us to have blankets, but who's going to wash them, right? I certainly don't want to be bringing home blankets to my house that the students have been using. So, yeah, we decided no blankets, but this is a common thing in other wellness rooms. They might have like weighted blankets or a heated blanket or something. So, you might decide you want it. We constantly are asked for essential oil diffuser and sprays. We have the rollers, and the reason why I've had a firm no is because there's many people who are sensitive to different scents and get severe headaches from like a place like Bath and Body Works or like any place that's intense overload with those aromas could be really bad for some people. So we do not have that as like perfuming the whole space. The roller at least stays on you. It's not like the spray where you will, yeah, take over the room. Snacks. Some students constantly are asking for food in that room. I think we tried mints. We had like mints, but we were realizing we were going to be spending like $600 a semester just to replenish those like lifesaver mints. And that's kind of crazy. We were just thinking about like cost and like imagine having to have free snacks all the time. It would be, I can't imagine what that would cost. So we're just like, nope, we're not doing that. A water feature, they have really cute ones. You might want to consider it. I was just told we're not able to do that for the room, but they do have nice ones where you can plug them in. It's like you hear the trickling of water, and that would be lovely. But right now, I can't do that. Live plants and live pets. We are a no on that right now because of the effort it would take, to take care of it. Who's going to take care of it on breaks? Adding another thing to do to people's lists, like access services always gets dumped with things, and we don't want to have to put another thing, on their plate. We've tried programming in the room. I might be interesting to try again, but I think that people would just wanted the room to be left alone. They didn't want someone coming in and trying to ask if they want to do like beading or like make your own stretch, stress ball. They just want that space for them. And then we're not going to police the use of the room. So I've been in there before where students napping or someone will go, someone's napping, and I'm not going to go wake them up and say they can't nap. Like I don't know. They needed a nap. Like I'm glad they found a space for it. If someone's in there doing homework, you're not supposed to do homework, but I'm not going to go in there and tell them stop doing your homework. So we're not really like checking on how someone's using the room, but you might want to. Oh, and I had that photo up before with the candles because yeah, we're not doing candles, even though we're asked for essential oils. That's like what people think we're going to offer, but that's not it. So this is the room, it's hard to take a photo of because there's 4 zones of this space. So this is like that kind of the wall I'm telling you about was the partition that I just thought, how are we going to work with this? Like aesthetically, I didn't love the black lines. It felt kind of harsh. But it was actually really great that it provided like a space where there's the couch and everything. And then behind that wall is like the private prayer space, or you can use the exercise balls or the yoga mats. And like, do you really want people staring at you while you're doing yoga? Like, no. So that's kind of nice that we have that. If you want to take the QR code, this will take you to a library blog post that has a video of our dean of the library walking people through because it doesn't photograph easily. So at least you could see her kind of like looking at the areas if you want to see that. And when you tell people about the room, like it's good to tell them what they can expect in it because they're more likely to understand what it's about if they know what's there. Otherwise, to them, maybe a wellness room, maybe they think a counselor's there. Like who knows what they think a wellness room, what it is, what it's supposed to have. Okay, so here's like the zones. Okay, so we got the massage chair zone in the on the left there, and that's the rotating sand art. You can see that round piece, the bean bags. We had no window, again, a windowless space, so like artwork that brings in the outdoors or perspective and depth. The floor lamp sometimes moves around. You can see that kind of left center where that's like from IKEA. We just thought that added a nice like ambiance, and they just, can easily adjust it if they want to turn it on and off. On the top right, we have two students at the table, and they're using the materials from our little bookshelf. You do need to, check that occasionally, replenish. Like there's Play-Doh that, sometimes dries up or disappears. Like some of the fidgets students might think they can take, and you might want to have a lot of money where you can just keep giving them the fidgets, but we sometimes get nicer fidgets, so we'll leave a sign that's like, please enjoy these in the room. But sometimes they still take them. I just realized the word, did I spell lounge wrong or did put the E down. Okay, that's weird. Okay, I know how to spell lounge, but didn't, doesn't look apparent here. Um, you can see the prayer area like behind that folding screen. So it has the mats, it has the a basket that has different yoga mats there. Very simple, right? Very simple. And then at the center, do you see where there's like this door that's frosted? It's like a sliding door. I also at first was like, oh, I don't know about this, but it's kind of nice because if you're in the massage chair, you are now buffered by a frosted glass. So when someone's entering, they don't have to stare at you, get a little privacy. But so it actually worked out, even though I was concerned about the aesthetics of like the wood and like another door. But anyway, so it's it's simple, but you can kind of make your space however you want it. Highly recommend having a ribbon cutting, like right, make a spectacle of it, make a big deal of it, invite important people. That's our dean of the library with the head of university wellness. So even just having the both of them greet people and positioning the library with wellness next to each other, that's a good thing for the library. If you can get big scissors, giant scissors for ribbon cutting, like do it. We think we borrowed those from the president's office. Although we should probably buy our own, I think. And that's the counselor helping to cut it who helped me. And like we went shopping and had a blast together. And you make friendships out of these kind of projects too, which is great. Invite your mascot to your ceremony. You can have coffee, of course, or any sort of tea or healthy food at your wellness ribbon cutting too. And invite the student newspaper and the student government because they're more likely to get the word out if you've like personally invited them to a special sneak peek preview of something. I know we love signage as librarians, so here's just some different signage that the one on the left that has all the words, we just printed it and laminated it and had that on the inside and outside of the room with the QR code for feedback. We're trying to say like, since this room can be used by more than one student at a time, be considerate of your duration of stay, food choices, noise levels, help us keep the room neat. Sometimes we get someone that complains someone's eating like smelly food in that room. So it's like our way of being like, we've gently suggested they be considerate. There's another sign in the room about it being a quiet drop-in space. Unfortunately, this room does not have good soundproofing. So if people are, laughing and having a good time playing music, like someone studying on the other side of the room may hear it and vice versa. The room actually has really bad Wi-Fi connection, and I kind of love it because it means that it's not going to be a room you're going to be watching YouTube videos and, taking a Zoom call. Like, so I have really bad Wi-Fi connection in there, and I think let's like lean into that. Like we could fix that with ITS, but like no, let's let this be a space where you're not engaging in all those things that you can do in the rest of the building. We had like little signs that I just also like printed, laminated, and put on the wall for the sand art because they won't know they can rotate it if you don't make a little sign that says it. Why would you think you could touch art and move it around? So you got to tell them. The massage chair, I don't even know how much we need this anymore about saying it's limited to 15 minutes, but this was a student suggestion because they were worried people were going to like take it over and never leave the one massage chair and hog it. So that was like you have a time limit. And the shoes, yeah, having the shoe sign was important for the students that wanted for prayer. So we have that too. But then once you make your in-house cheap/free signs, you look around campus and suddenly you see there's real signs around campus that someone else has paid for. So we asked facilities, hey, can we have a real sign? We don't want laminated. A laminated sign anymore isn't going to do. Let's make this more official. So they took care of that for us, at least on the outside of the room. This is just a reminder, whatever wellness marketing you're doing, like this is one thing having a room. You'll see here it's both of the rooms are their own bullet, but then it's Here's all the other things, right? So much wellness happens at the library, whether we frame it that way or not. Like we have a library of things collection. You might too, but have you thought that it's kind of a wellness support if you offer games? Shouting out Eva Lise right now in this on this call because she runs a seed library at her at the Bellarmine campus that's part of Fairfield. So like that's even part of wellness, like being in touch with nature, all of that. We're all doing this work, I'm sure. Collecting feedback to keep advocating for why this room shouldn't be taken away and made into an office, right, is always important, and like why they should give you money for supplies to replenish. So these are just a couple of things for the lactation room. I really like this one. Thank you for the gift of that room. It has made such a difference to my life this past year. That staff member was, yeah, using it for like a year or so, and I'd previously been like in a car, and this makes a huge difference to like that person's life. For the wellness room, these were from the survey comment box. You can see our survey there if you scan the code and want to just see what we ask. This is a great space where you can decompress and forget about everything stressing you out for a few minutes. Very calming, offers a lot of options to ease your stress. Definitely something for everyone to enjoy, especially love the massage chair. I was there for the opening of the room. I love the different sections of it and how the praying area is so inclusive. And we did have, I wish I'd found the quote, but there was some students from the Muslim Student Association that messaged, I think through Instagram, and were like, just felt very seen and appreciated that their voice, you know, they were listened to and they had another space. When you ask for feedback, you will get it, right? And so you have a massage chair and now someone's like, it's not enough massage chairs. You need more than one, right? That's just you'll probably experience that too, right? It's never enough sometimes. Or they tell you they want things that are already there, right? It's a small room. They didn't see it and they're asking for it. That's fine. It just proves it's good we have it. I like this. There's a suggestion for a walking pad treadmill to do your work. I think, Evelise, you have that for the Bellarmine campus. So maybe that's still something I should revisit if we should have that in either in this room or something you check out from the library of things at the front desk that wouldn't be too heavy and then like maybe bring it down there. They want snacks. They want a smoothie bar. I mean, yeah, it's not going to happen, but that's nice that they shared that. That would be a lot to clean. So yeah, feedback's always interesting. Big reminder is take before and after photos. We didn't really take before photos. That's a big epic fail for us. So do a better job. I have to tell myself that of taking the befores because we get so many afters and then saving it somewhere where like everyone on staff, when there's staff turnover, can see that before photo or side by sides. If you can do it, a video tour is great too, especially if you have a weird space layout like our wellness room. That one photo isn't going to show all of it. So, like a little video tour file that you can save. Building in a daily walkthrough of these spaces is ideal. And if you can't do daily, and I'm not saying you personally, right? Like maybe it's a student worker in, access services that like the 10 a.m. shift or the 10 p.m. shift, it's built in that they're going to just walk through like, okay, we need more coloring pages and they replenish it or whatever it is. If you have a white noise machine and or a massage chair that's plugged in with the power switches, like that would be a good thing at end of day for closing routine and just build that into the end of day process to shut that off for safety. And that's all I got. I feel like I was talking for a while. We've got 10 minutes.